What's going on, everybody? Here for time here, and today I wanted to make a video on who has the best healing output or like ability. So I want to make this on like their like the hero's base like raw healing. So I will talk about the abilities a little bit for certain characters that I feel I need to talk about it for. So like Lucio and stuff. But for the main part, I want to talk about their raw healing, and at the end, I'll rank each hero on who has the best proficiency and least proficiency with healing. So you can tell who is a main healer and who is not really a main healer. And I wanted to make this video because the other day when me and my friends were playing Overwatch, one of my friends tried to say that Kiriko is not a main healer and doesn't do that much healing, when quite the opposite is true, or at least that's what my opinion is. I feel like that's true, and the numbers speak for themselves, so I guess we'll see by the end of this video if she's a top main healer or not. But that's kind of what made me like inspired to make this video. So, and I was kind of curious too who has the best and worst healing, so let's go ahead and get into it. So we're gonna go in alphabetical order, hero by hero. So we're going to start off with Ana. So Ana, as you know, does the same amount of damage as she does healing. And she deals healing with her weapon for the main part. And I'll call that her raw damage and healing. So she does 75 healing and 75 damage over 0.59 seconds. And so the rough math of it is about 93.75 healing and damage per second. So 93.75 healing per second, which with reloading time, that's about 83.33 healing and damage with the reload per second. So we'll say about 80 to 90 per second, 80 to 90 healing per second.
Enough whining. You're fine.
So she's a very good proficient healer. She heals, I believe, some of the most in the game. I think she's one of the best healers, but we'll see by the end of it who has the biggest numbers or not. And then, of course, you've got Ana's Bio Grenade, which on hit, it does 30 healing. And then over 3.5 seconds, it deals 50% additional healing with whoever you use. So with Ana, that will be like 120 or so. Around that range, around 110 to 130, depending on your reload speed. Mainly you're going to get around 124 point something, 130, somewhere around there per second for 3.5 seconds with her bio grenade. And then, of course, her nano boost, it gives 250 health. So,
You're powered up. Get in there.
but I would not call either of those main healings as their abilities. I know abilities are part of the game, but I kind of want to base this on raw healing. On raw healing, Ana does about 83 healing per second, factoring in reload speed as well. Alright, so next we got Baptiste, and his healing on the splash does 50 healing. And then if you directly hit an ally, it is 70 healing. And so his first ability, Regenerative Burst, even with this ability, this is still worse than Ana's primary way of healing, which it does about 10 healing per second over 5 seconds, so 50 over 5 seconds. So it's still not quite as good as Ana. And I'm going to be mainly saying as main healing is his right click, his alternate fire. And even if you hit targets directly, it's only 70, so it's still not quite as good as Ana. An immortality field, I'm not really going to count that as healing. I'm going to call that immortality, obviously. And it just keeps them alive up to 25% health. So it's not really healing. And then his ultimate, his Matrix. Obviously it does more healing. It does 100% more healing. So it will do about 111 to 155 healing per second over 10 seconds. So, and that depends on if you get indirect hits versus direct hits. So that depends on if you get hits with splash like this or direct like this. And so obviously that's better than Ana a little bit, but still that's with his ultimate. And Ana's ultimate, if you want to talk about ultimate versus ultimate, Ana's ultimate gives 250 health. It's only one-time use, but still. I mean, I feel Ana is better than Baptiste, so I wouldn't say Baptiste is bad, but he's not as good as Ana. Alright, so now we got Brigitte, and if my numbers are correct and everything, my math's correct, I do believe that from so far what I've seen when I researched all the characters before the video, she is the worst healer, although she's not a healer, but you get what I mean, she's a support. She has the worst healing out of any of the supports, as far as numbers. And it makes sense, as she's supposed to be more of like a damaging support to help kill stuff anyways, but that's not what the video is about. Anyways, her passive, called Inspire, her passive ability Inspire, it is triggered whenever you hit something with Rocket Flail. I didn't hit that, but Rocket Flail, a Shield Bash, or by just her melee. And it's that yellow field that you see when I attack enemies. So it deals 15 healing per second over 5 seconds. So after, and it has a cooldown of 1 second. You can only do it once every second. And then, so 15 per second, that equals 75 over 5 seconds. So it does about as much as Ana does in 0.59 seconds, but in 5 seconds, which is not good. And unlike the other characters, this is what I would say is not really your raw healing. I mean, it is, but your main healing, your biggest source of healing is going to be coming from your health packs,
Let me help you with that.
which these deal 25 plus 100 over 2 seconds. So what it is it deals 25 when you initially put it on,
That for you.
and then it does 100 over 2 seconds. So 50 healing per second over 2 seconds. So it's 125 healing over 2 seconds, pretty much. So, and you have 3 of those, and the recharge for every charge is 6 seconds. So that's 18 seconds for all 3 charges to be recharged, which doesn't sound like a lot, but in Overwatch terms, that is a huge amount of time. It feels like forever when you're playing Brigitte trying to get your health packs back. And so it's still not as great as Ana, as you can't keep on using them and using them. You have a charge of them, you have to use them very sparingly. So both her hair pack and her passive Inspire don't come close to Ana's healing at all. And of course her ultimate, it doesn't really heal, but it gives overheal, or overhealth. They changed it recently, so it gives overhealth over 30 seconds, or it lasts for 30 seconds. And it gives 15 overhealth per 0.5 seconds, up to 100 overhealth to allies. It's not really healing, but it's there to help. So overall, so far from what I'm seeing, Brigitte outputs the worst healing beyond any of the supports, even Zenyatta. She does less than Zenyatta in per second terms anyways, and how often you can use it. So for Kiriko, unlike Brigitte, it's actually the opposite of what I thought about Brigitte. I'm pretty sure that she's the opposite, where she has the best healing in the game, if I'm not mistaken. Like I said, at the end of the video, we will find out. But it's looking like she has the best healing. So, you can read all the juicy details here on screen, but pretty much all you need to know is she has 130 healing per second, and of course, factoring in the reload speed, which is not really a reload where you have to press reload, but you know, the recovery to going back to heal, there's a little bit of an interval there where you can't heal for a while. So factoring that in with the recovery, it's about 72.2 overall per second. So it's about as good as Ana, and if you say that it is 130 per second, she has about the best in the game. That's better than Baptiste and Brigitte so far. And I think that it is, with recovering, counting in the recovery, it's 72.2 per second. So Ana is a bit better than her in that aspect. But she still does have a great healing output. And of course, another part of Kiriko's kit is the Suzu, which heals for 50, and then gives vulnerability for 0.85 seconds. So it's mainly for getting your allies out in a pinch when they're about to die. So that's not really healing. I'm not gonna call that healing, but it is there. Then you've got your Kitsune Rush,
Let the Kitsune guide you.
which makes you fire 50% faster. So with this, with Kiriko at least, you'll be doing about 108 healing per second now instead of 72, since you have the 50% increased firing speed, which also counts for your healing firing, as it counts as a alt fire. It's technically an alt fire, so. And from what I can see so far, the only hero that technically has better healing,
Restoring your light.
counting the overall like recovery speed and everything, is Ana. Kiriko still has better healing than like Brigitte especially and Baptiste so far. But with recovery, she has 72.2 healing per second, whereas Ana, with her recovery speed, has about 83 or something per second. So Ana is a bit better, about 10 healing more per second with recovery on both ends. Okay, so now I got Life Lever, or as I like to call him, Wife Lever. So I also want to talk about this quite a bit because a lot of people think that Life Lever has they're like, oh, Life Lever has by far the worst healing in the game, worse than Brigitte, which is not true. But I want to prove some theories wrong that he has the worst healing in the game. His healing per second is about 57.7.
Can't have it getting worse.
While firing at full charge. So, a full charge, it's about 57.7. And factoring in reload speed, it's about 55.2 per second. So it's a bit better than Baptiste's splash damage. It's not better than his direct hit damage, healing, I mean. But I would say he is about on par with Baptiste, because most of the time, let's be honest, you're going to be hitting splashes with Baptiste. So I will say that he's about on par with Baptiste, better than Brigitte. Not quite as good as Kiriko or Ana. So now we've got Life Grip, which is the next thing that heals your allies. This has actually changed to where it actually heals for 50 now. It didn't actually used to heal before, but in the recent rework in Season 5, it heals for 50 when you grip an ally. And I'll call that a little bit of healing, but it's not much, so that's how much healing that does. And of course, you got your ultimate, which I'm not going to cause raw healing, of course.
Life protects life.
And it heals 150 instantly when it's put down. And then 75 per pulse, which every pulse is 1.5 seconds. There's one pulse every 1.75 seconds, sorry. So there's 8 pulses. So you have about 600 healing over the course of 8 pulses. So that's 15 seconds that's duration is. So you'll have about 600 healing in total. Whoever is in the field, not just one target, whoever's in the field of the tree, 600 healing over a course of 15 seconds. So now we got Lucio. Now, looking at the numbers now, I think that he's just a small bit better than Brigitte. So, his crossfade, which is the normal just healing here,
How's that for sound therapy?
obviously heals all the targets that are around you for 16%, literally one healing up from Brigitte. Brigitte's passive heals 15 per second. So his is 16 per second. And then of course with the amp it up,
This is my favorite part.
it's about 52 per second for your allies over a 3-second duration. So about 150 something around there for the duration over 3 seconds. So not bad, but not great. And now looking at the numbers now, I do still think that I'm going to say that Brigitte is a little bit better in some ways. He's a little bit better in some ways. I'll see what I decide at the end of the video, who's better. But yeah, his main healing is 16 per second, whoever's around him. And then 52 per second for 3 seconds with his amp it up.
Turn it up, turn it up.
And of course, the Soundberry doesn't give health, but it gives 750 over health,
Oh, let's break it down.
which prevents you from dying over the duration of 6 seconds. So it's not healing, but it's over health. So he's not a terrible healer. He's a great, overall, like, around healer that heals all around your allies all around. But I would not say he's a main healer. Alright, so now I got one of my personal favorite healers, Mercy. So you got the Catechus Staff, which heals
I can fix that.
about 55 per second, and there's no recovery or anything, as you don't have to reload or anything. And the only recovery would, I guess, would be if you're going from the offensive beam to the healing beam. That only takes about, I'd say, like 0.2 seconds, so it's not really much of anything. So she heals about 55 per second, which is about on par with Baptiste, not counting if you hit them directly with a blast. About on par with Baptiste, a little bit better than, I mean, it's better than Brigitte. It's a little bit better than Lucio, even with his amp it up, and not quite as good as Kiriko, and not quite as good as Ana. Of course, it's not healing, but you got the revival,
There's much for you to do.
which heals about almost half of their health when they're revived. So I wouldn't really call it healing. Of course, you've got Valkyrie,
Heroes never die.
which the duration is 15 seconds, and it heals 60 healing per second per target that is around when you're healing. So it's per target, so it's all around healing now instead of just one target. Lasts for 15 seconds, and that's 60 healing per second per target. So now we've got Moira, who is my main, technically. She is my most used character on my career profile. And she is, looking at the numbers, she is already on par, without her abilities, with raw healing, she is already on par with Baptiste and even like Ana and Kiriko. So her healing does 70 per second and then lingers to heal 51 over 3 seconds. So got the healing here, and then it lingers, does 51 over 3 seconds. So not bad at all. Of course, you have a cooldown, but you are still kind of on par with Ana and Kiriko and Baptiste. So, of course, for Moira, you gotta factor in how long it takes for you to use your primary fire to get your healing energy back. And so you've got a total of 156 biotic energy, and you use 20 biotic energy per second. So you got about 8 full seconds of energy worth. So
No wound is
you can count with me.
mortal.
And it's about 8 seconds, a little bit over,
I kinda
but
feel
it's about 8 seconds worth. So it doesn't sound like a lot, but again, in Overwatch terms, 8 seconds is quite a long time. Of course, factoring in the 51 lingering over 3 seconds healing, this is quite a bit of healing and still on par with Baptiste and Ana. Now we've got the Biotic Orb, which heals for 65 per second, up to 300 healing. So it lasts for 7 seconds or until depleted. So, which means until it heals an ally until the 300 point. So it's 65 per second up to 300. So that's not bad at all, and that's one of her abilities. I would say that is kind of one of her main healings, is that Biotic Orb. But anyways, that's a lot of healing, as well as her primary fire is also a lot of healing. And of course, you've got her ultimate Coalescence,
Surrender to my will.
which does about 140 healing per second over the course of 8 seconds. So not bad at all. It's a bit better than the healing on Kiriko's ultimate, and I think Baptiste as well, so it's not bad at all. So for the very last support, we've got Zenyatta, which is one of my personal favorite healers. She's got probably one of my favorite voices in the game. Probably Ramatra and Zenyatta's voice is just, their voices are just amazing. That robotic voice they have, I just love it. So Zenyatta, I don't think is the worst healer by far, but he is probably lower on the list, as his healing is only 30 per second. Now the only catch is, with there being so little healing, there is not really a recharge time. The only time there's a recharge time is when you're switching targets, and I would say that only takes about 1 or 2 seconds. About a second, I'd say. And then it lasts for 3 seconds if the targets are out of sight, so if I get out of sight, it will last about 3 seconds until they have to get back in sight again for me to put another orb on them. And of course, you've got his ultimate Transcendence, which does 300 health per second over the course of 6 seconds. So that is a ton of healing. So it's about 1,800 healing over 6 seconds. So it's quite a bit. But then again, it is his ultimate, so, you know, In that part, I think he's got everybody beat in the entire support list. I think he's got everybody beat with that ultimate, in his ultimate part at least, on healing. Is all the characters healing? Now I'm going to make a small little list into the characters. Some of this will be a bit of my opinion because some of the healing is a bit so close to where I kind of have to make my own opinion on what I think is better in the long run. So let's go ahead and make a list, shall we? So this list is going to be from worst to best. Who I think has the worst healing first and last. This list is going to be from worst to least. So the worst character, I think, that has the least amount of healing outputs to the best support that I think has the best amount of healing potential, healing output. And so first off, we're going to start with Brigitte. She's not a terrible character at all, but she's not a great support for healing in general and specific. So she's not great for healing, but she is a support, so she's not mainly used for healing. I think she's more to finish off enemies, help fight enemies and stuff. So with her only having 15 healing per second with her passive ability, having to do it once every 1 second, and then also her healing packs all count as her main source of healing too. You only have 3 of them, and it takes like, what, 6 seconds to recharge each pack? That's 18 seconds for all 3 packs to recharge. That is a long time in Overwatch terms, at least. That's a long time to wait to heal.
Sending care your way.
And you have to wait 18 seconds for all of these to be gone. Or to recharge, I mean. And that's just a long time, and that's why I think she's the worst. And her ultimate doesn't even really heal. It gives overheal. It gives over health, and it gives you over shield or over arm. It gives you armor, I guess. So it's not even really healing in her ultimate. So I can't even say that she has a lot of potential even with her ultimate. And even though she had a rework, I feel like she could be a lot better as a support doing healing. Like I said, she's a support, not a healer. So I need to bear that in mind, and you guys need to bear that in mind too. She's not just here for healing. So, I'm just going to put her on the list at the worst as far as number-wise and healing, and factoring in the amount of time it takes for her health packs to recharge and her passive just not healing enough and not healing a lot. Next on our list, we got Lucio. He's just a small bit better than Brigitte, I would say, as he's got a little bit more potential of healing. As with Brigitte's health packs, you can only focus on one target at a time, but with his healing, even though it's only 1 better per second than her passive, her main healing source, I would say, it's, not great, but I feel like it is a lot better than Brigitte's, as you can heal 16 per second per target, and then of course when you amp it up, it's 52 per second per target that is in your AoE. So I would say Lucio is just a bit better than Brigitte. Of course, her ultimate gives 750 overshield or whatever it gives you. It gives you some overshield. It's not necessarily healing, but it can prevent you getting killed. So I would say overall, support-wise especially, and heal-wise too, he is a little bit better than Brigitte, but he is not the worst, not the best, but he's better than Brigitte. Alright, so next we got Zenyatta. I would say that he's about the 3rd worst. Again, I'm not saying they're bad characters. I'm just saying as in terms of healing, he is the 3rd worst in healing. And he is overall a better support than Brigitte, I would say, as he deals more damage than Brigitte. It has more capabilities as a support than Brigitte, being able to weaken enemies and strengthen your allies. It's the whole point of Zenyatta. He's basically just a yin-yang. That's his whole symbol, the yin and yang. His orb of discord and his orb of harmony. So, healing 30 per second, that is a bit better than Lucio, as even though Lucio will deal 52 healing per second with his amp it up, that's only for 3 seconds, and that's an ability. So, and I guess you could say technically these are abilities as they're in ability slots, but he doesn't heal when you shoot like Ana. So I mean, this is main form of healing. So it's 30 per second. So I'd say that's better than Brigitte. That's better than Lucio. He's in the 3rd worst spot, and of course he deals 150 healing over his ultimates. duration, about 8 seconds, something like that. So 6 seconds, sorry. So 150 healing per second over 6 seconds. So his ultimate is very good. I do believe that it is the best healing as far as ultimates go. So as far as ultimates, he has the best healing capability out of anybody, I'm pretty sure. But anyways, he's in the third worst spot. Okay, so now we've got Life Lever. Now this is kind of sort of a tie between him and Mercy. He deals like 0.2 better healing, putting in account reloading and stuff too. And the only reason I say he's a bit worse than Mercy is because Mercy doesn't have a reload. She just heals continuously. You don't have to reload like you do Life Lever. So I will say she's a bit better than him. So he's a bit worse because he has 55.2. Of course, putting in account the recovery speed, that's how much it is. It's about 57.7, something like that. Not accounting the recovery and reloading, but regarding the recovery and reloading, it's about 52.2, so it's very close. But I'll say he's a bit worse because his healing takes some time to reach you. First of all,
That should do it.
as you have to charge it up. And then, of course, you have to recharge with him. You don't have to with Mercy. And of course, Life Lever's ultimate, I guess it's kind of on par with Mercy's. It may be a bit better, but Mercy's lasts longer. So I'll say in the long run, I think Mercy's is a little bit better than Tree of Life. But overall, I feel Mercy is a bit better. So Life Lever is in this spot. And as I just discussed, Mercy is in a 5th worst spot. But I'm not saying that as in she's bad. I don't have to keep on saying that. But anyways, this is where it gets to being the top best healers, and it comes more down to preference than really anything. I mean, any of this is just down to preference. So I'm not saying any of these supports are bad, as in healing or damage or supporting your team at all. But it's all about preference, and it's all about just like who goes good with who and what comps are good with certain comps. But anyways, with her dealing about 55 per second and her Valkyrie dealing 60 per second per target, she is in this spot, coming up to be one of the top healers. So here is Mercy. Okay, so here is where I'm going to put Baptiste. So he's going to be one of the more top healers. He's better than the ones I'm talking about so far, as when you do a splash hit with her healing, it's about 50 healing. Sorry, I'm not hitting. About 50 healing, and then when you hit on the target, it's 70. And so obviously, most of the time you're going to be getting the splash. You're not really going to have time to look and go and aim at the target, as you're going to be in battle all the time. You're mainly going to be getting the splash hits, doing 50. But this is where I'm going to put him, and along with his regeneration field, he deals quite a bit of healing and is better than the ones that I've talked about so far. And then, of course, with his Matrix, he can deal a lot more healing. And this counts other healers, too. Can also shoot through it and deal better healing, too, such as Ana, Kiriko, people like that. So this is where I'm going to put Baptiste. Not a bad healer at all. He's one of my top choices whenever we're in a pinch, and I need to counter stuff such as, like, Junkrat's ultimates or Diva's ultimate, stuff like that. It can get you out in a pinch real quick. This is where I'm going to put Baptiste. So now we got Moira. Now, just like Mercy and Life Lever, it's going to come very close between Moira and Kiriko. It's really about all who you prefer and think that is better, and really it's all who you prefer. It's all preference, really, at this point. But I will say that I prefer Kiriko and think her healing is a bit better than Moira, as Moira has to recharge, as this lasts for 8 seconds. And then you have to recharge, go and attack enemies. You can't be really healing. You kind of have to do an orb to heal, and then get healing back, go healing again. You have a recharge. Of course, it doesn't take long to get your stuff back to heal, your energy back to heal. But still, I feel like Kiriko's is a bit better, as Moira's is 70 per second. Of course, you've got the 51 over the course of 3 seconds lingering. But with Kiriko, although you do have recovery, you do not have a reload. It is always there to be healing. You do not have to go and attack to get your stuff back like you do Moira, where you have to heal a bit and then you have to go and get a little bit. of damage to get your healing back. That's where I'm going to put Moira. So she's one of the top healers. So that's where Moira is just a little bit she's just missing out on one of the top spots right behind Kiriko. So now we've got Kiriko just missing out on the top spots. In second place, we've got Kiriko. So again, this is down to preference, but she technically does do more than Ana. So she does 130, but factoring in the recovery speed, it's about 72.2. So just missing out on Ana's healing just a little bit, technically. She does 75 or 0.59 seconds, and that's about 83.3 over every second. So it's about 11 less healing than Ana. So Ana still does more and is better, in my opinion, even though she's one-on-one, target to target. But Kiriko, still, I feel she is a good second place spot, as you've got her main healing here, as well as the healing here with the Suzu, and then of course the saving with Suzu, the small window of time for invulnerability for other healers for other supports to heal as well. And so I feel like this is a really good spot for Kiriko. And yeah, so that's where I'm going to put her. Just missing out on the top spot. And of course her ultimate can help you heal faster, as you have a faster firing speed as well. Now we've got the very first place healer. The best healer in the game, in my opinion, of course, is Ana. And coming to numbers as well is Ana. She has about 83 healing per second, putting in count reloading speed, putting her at the highest output of healing in the game, no doubt, above every single character in the game. She has the highest output, and even above Kiriko, which, like I just said, is more about preference. But technically Kiriko does 130 healing per second, but you have to put into account the recovery speed between each burst of ribbons, or the Ofida, whatever you want to call them. So overall, Ana is, in numbers and in my opinion, with facts and my opinion, the best healer in the game, or sorry, support. Best support in the game with the best overall healing out of any of the supports, based on pure raw healing, not even counting her biotic grenade. This is where she's at. She's the best healer in my opinion. So now I'm going to talk a little bit about, just real quick, who I think are main healers and who are not. So the main healers, I would say, are the top few healers. So healers that will be your main healers, mainly focusing on healing for 80-90% of the time. So that would be Ana, Moira, even Baptiste, Mercy, people like that. Kiriko, I would say, are main healers. And then I would say side healers that do other stuff besides just healing are, of course, Lucio and Zenyatta and Brigitte and Life Leaver. And then, of course, Kiriko also attacks and does stuff too. But I would say the main healers for the most part are Ana, Kiriko, Moira, Mercy, all of those. So, and then Baptiste. And then the rest are side healers that do other stuff on the side. Of course, Baptiste attacks too. So, that's what I would say. That's my list. Those are my list of what I think the main healers are and side healers. So, that's the video. Now, this video is probably going to be a lot longer than the other videos that I've had so far. But if you did make it to the end, I hope this video did help you. And let me know down in the comments what your list would be like if you were to make a list like me. Who you think is the best healer, worst healer, or if you agree with my list, if you completely disagree with it and think I'm just wrong in every way, let me know. I want to know. So, just let me know. And if this video did help you and shed some light on how much healing each character does and who technically has the highest healing output or worst healing output in the game, then feel free to subscribe, and I will see everybody in the next video. Bye.